All right, let's dive into a real-life mystery. We're going to unpack the strange case of the poisoned bees in Ontario, a story that involves farmers, powerful companies, and a search for the truth that pretty much changed everything. So this quote right here is the puzzle that starts it all. I mean, imagine you follow every single rule, you do everything by the book, and disaster strikes anyway. That was the crazy reality for people in Ontario, and it created a problem that had no easy answers. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the spring of 2012 in Ontario, Canada. All of a sudden, beekeepers start finding huge numbers of dead bees, especially near cornfields. But here's the really weird part. The farmers who were using pesticides, they'd followed the instructions perfectly. This wasn't a case of someone messing up or breaking the rules. The problem was actually buried way deeper inside the system itself. This really gets to the heart of it. Think about it like this. We trust a medication from a doctor to be safe. But what happens when that exact medicine causes some kind of harmful, totally unforeseen reaction? That's the exact dilemma they were facing. The tool designed to help was actually causing harm. This brings us to the first part of our investigation, trying to figure out why the rulebook itself seemed to be failing everyone. So here's the core of it, right? You had growers doing exactly what they were told to do, but the beekeepers were still losing their bees. It became pretty clear, pretty fast, that the official best practices just weren't cutting it. There was this huge blind spot in the system, a gap nobody even saw until it was way too late. Now, to really get what's going on, we have to understand all the different players involved, because this story is about a lot more than just bees and farmers. This lays it all out perfectly. You've got the beekeepers who are just trying to protect their animals and their livelihood. Then you have the growers who need tools that work to produce our food. Then there are the companies, and they're driven by profit and protecting their reputation. And finally, the government, which is supposed to be making sure everyone is safe. You can see right away how these motivations could start to clash. And that clash of motivations, well, that leads us right into the central conflict. Who do you trust to investigate a problem when the investigators themselves might have something to lose? This is really the key question, isn't it? I mean, if the brakes on your car suddenly failed, would you want the car company to be the only one investigating what went wrong? The potential for a conflict of interest is it's huge. And the source material is really direct about this. For any company, especially these huge international ones, the number one priority is protecting the brand. It's just the reality of how business works. So even if they have the best intentions, there's always going to be this built-in incentive to find any other explanation for the problem. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Back in Ontario, when the company reps actually met with the beekeepers who were affected, this is exactly what happened. They tried to downplay the product's role, and in doing that, they just completely shattered any trust the beekeepers might have had. This slide really boils it all down. A company's main job is to protect its product and its bottom line. The government's job is to protect the public. When the product is the source of a potential safety issue, those two goals are just fundamentally at odds with each other. But, out of this whole crisis, a new approach was born. One that was designed from the ground up to be objective and, most importantly, trustworthy. And the solution was a third-party investigation. The idea is simple but really powerful. You get an investigator who has no skin in the game. Someone whose only goal is to find the facts, without worrying about stock prices or brand reputation. So in Ontario, this took the form of a government-led super team. For the very first time, 3 major agencies, the Pest Management Agency, the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Agriculture, they all pulled their resources. This wasn't just one department's problem anymore. It was a coordinated official response. And they did it right. They brought in pesticide specialists who really understood the chemicals. And crucially, they brought in bee specialists, apiarists, who actually understood bee colonies. I mean, you can't solve a bee problem without an expert who knows what a healthy hive is even supposed to look like. And the result? Trust was rebuilt. Because the investigation was seen as fair and objective, people finally stopped pointing fingers. Beekeepers didn't blame the growers anymore. And the conversation shifted from whose fault is this to how do we fix this together? It actually worked. Okay, so we have a system that didn't build trust and find real solutions. But there's one final crucial piece to this puzzle, and it's this. How does this entire system of protection even get started in the first place? And this might be the single most important thing to take away from all this. Government agencies, they can't fix a problem they don't officially know exists. Without a formal report, as far as the system is concerned, the incident simply never happened. And this is what zero reports look like to a regulator. It looks like everything is fine. Even if hundreds of hives are in trouble, if nobody files the paperwork, the official number of incidents is zero. And no data means no problem, and no problem means no action. This just shows the incredible power of a single person. One beekeeper noticing something isn't right and filing one report, that's the spark that ignites the whole process. That single report becomes a data point. Enough of those data points create a pattern, and that lets regulators see the bigger picture and finally take action. So that's the story of the poisoned bees. The Ontario incident proved that a system built on trust can solve even the most complicated problems. But it all hinges on one simple action. Someone has to notice, and someone has to speak up. The system is there, waiting. But it all starts with that first call.